Okay, away we go. Oh, the show number is 259 for John in Winnipeg. John in Winnipeg wants to know. This is show number 259. Let's go to David Benefield. Mr. Furious, thanks for hanging in with us through all of that preamble. Good to see you, my man. You're looking fresh as always. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in the office today and trying to move product for Proline Construction Materials.
Okay, well, we'll get a shout out for them near the end. Clark felt so
That'd
terrible.
be great.
Yeah, well, the way things went down, he felt terrible, by the way, with that connection. But you're pristine today, my man. Can you please give me your take on this week in the CFL? What you think and what your posse is saying?
Guys need the money. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone that is associated with sports needs the money, whether you're the guy who leases his or rents his yard out for parking. That's money that's not falling into your hands. So I don't think the guy should play for absolutely nothing, because it's still the cost of living, the cost of finding, a place and everything, and the movement of the family and everything. So it's got to be fair, but the league's going to take a big hit too, because all those sponsors are going to be left out wondering, what are we going to put our money into?
Yeah. Well, with the commissioner, I'm really interested to know where you stand on. And by the way, can we get Lynch's headphones turned on, guys? Can somebody help Lynch? He wants to hear this interview and ask questions. So many people have asked me this week, what do you think of Randy Ambrosie? And I say, I like him. I like him a lot. He's a sharp guy and he's a good man. 2, is the Players Association being too hard on the commissioner? So what do you think of Randy Ambrosie, and is the Players Association being too hard on the commissioner?
Well, here's the deal. I mean, we're waiting, and Randy is waiting for the government and various provinces to say yes, no, maybe, how to make it work. But at the same time, we've got the NCAA, who recently released their 6-week plan for the kickoff of summer practices. They've got everything laid out, and they're ready to go for their kickoff of their season at Labor Day. So if they can put together a 6-week plan of 300-plus members of football, clear across the country, multi-billion-dollar industry, why can't we do the same thing with the CFL? And I tend to think that we have a better medical system. Our numbers, our people have been staying in. Our people have done all the things they've been asked to do, a huge sacrifice. We didn't have anyone running up to government buildings with AR-15s or anything like that. So why can't we use this as a moment to show the world that, hey, this is what happens when you do things right, and let's bring the players in. We could have them, on ice for 14 days, and then we can start the season, and we can figure out how to best fit the fans into the stadiums. We can do that, and at the same time, leverage our great medical system. I mean, we can do this if we want to do this. I don't know what the issue is.
Hang on, Frenzy. Hang on. Arlen Bruce III is watching, and he writes in all caps, Pinball Clemens for commissioner. Back to you, David. You've been in and around the CFL for a very long time. So do you think this 2020 should be scrapped and come back with a better plan, more cost-effective? Because I think now the curtain's been ripped back on the CFL and people understand the money's not there that people thought. A lot of people are making big money and shouldn't be, and a lot of guys aren't making much money, should be making more. Or find a plan to play in 2020, because you're kind of saying that too, because the NCAA is.
I think we need to. I think we need to find a plan to play in 2020. I think we need to look at it and make it work. We need to get the players in and understand it's pretty much, you're going to bring the players in, even the guys you've signed, you're going to bring them in, and you're not going to be able to move players back and forth, across the border and everything. And we're just going to have to ride with what you bring into camp.
Now, that's
what we should do. And at the same time, I believe we should be looking at, besides TSN, who does a great job of covering the game, Global, Rogers. We need multiple networks to cover the game so that we don't have all our eggs in one basket, so that more people can view the game. If you don't, like my father-in-law, he doesn't even have TSN. He said, since you're not playing, I'm not really watching any sports. You've got people out there that are like that. So it needs to be it needs to be on global. It
Do you
needs to be
think
maybe
that,
back on CBC. It needs to be clear across.
Do you think people running this really want to do it? I shouldn't say it like that, but they don't seem to be in a hurry to get it done. And lots of talk, but no action. That's what I'm seeing.
You know what? I hate to go down that road and feel that same way, but I'm starting to wonder: do they really want to go? Do they really want to go, or are they happy with sort of breaking the players down to where the cap drops lower? Guys won't sign for as much, and we fall further behind the rest of the pro leagues in the eyes and the optics of the fans, and that's what you don't want. We don't want to fall behind the optics.
David, what is the landscape of the sports in Vancouver in terms of, like, let's say the CFL, whether it comes back this year or it's burnt to the ground and rebuilt in CFL 3.0? What's it going to take for the Lions to be relevant?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Scott Ackles needs to be involved, and really involved in getting the Lions going. I believe everyone in the office right now, from the president, general manager, but I think Scott Ackles really needs to be involved in a big, big way. And then we need to, and then it's about the marketing. It's always about the marketing. We're just not doing it. We had an amazing platform last year. It was kind of California Raisins meets like the early iTunes look of players on these buses and everything. And that was really cool. We did a great job there. Our creative did a great job there, but it's going to take a lot more. It's not just sending guys to the mall, signing autographs. It's got to be bigger. And that's what's going to work for BC. That's what's going to take.
Yeah, and you know what? I saw all that. I thought it was awesome. And I also know they were sending out autographed postcards. For instance, Mike Riley signed postcards to people because they were sending pictures of them to me on social media. This is so cool. The Lions are doing this. So I know they're working their asses up out there in BC. It just needs to continue. What else you got, Lynch? Because before I switch topics on Benny.
Well, I just think the BC Lions are a terrific football team. With Mike Riley at quarterback, the best quarterback in North America, or one of the best in North America, certainly the best in the CFL. I think if you got a couple more receivers or one more receiver, that's a pretty good football team, and the fans would show up. Am I not right?
Yeah, do they have the star power there? That's a good question.
You make the star power. You can't keep telling people that it's not. Sorry about that. You can't keep telling people that it's not the star power. Sorry, guys.
You're good.
It is star power. It really is. We've got outstanding players here. Why not? And you got Mike Riley. Why not? So it's perception. My son, for instance, you're talking about the younger audience. He's in Instagram and all this kind of stuff, and he's saying, guys, we're finding out about guys that aren't even in college yet that have more followers than most of the players in our league. That's scary.
Yeah.
That guy that I think his name is Destroying. He goes by Destroying on Instagram.
Yes.
And in YouTube, he's got 2 million some odd followers. That's a guy that should have been in the league. I don't care. Doing whatever, that's a guy. We're missing it. We're not getting it.
Oh, David, what's the deal? We tried to get Destroying on, but I absolutely obliterated him one day on the show for, what was that, Darren? And then he wouldn't come on. Do you remember that? He was bitching about that he wasn't getting the playing time or something. I can't remember what it was. I know the guy you're talking about. By the way, there's a 14-year-old hockey player in Vancouver with, last I looked, 17,000 Instagram followers. His name is Connor Bedard, and he's the number one pick by the Regina Pats. So, yeah, it's getting out front of things. I totally get it. You guys got stuff going on out there. And, by the way, you're the second guy to bring up the name Scott Ackles in the last 24 hours. It's interesting in this time of controversy that these names are coming up from the past. What did you love about Scott Ackles, by the way? His dad, absolute legend. I know far less about Scott. What do you like about Scott?
You could talk, when you talk to him, it's in his eyes. It's not like, I can do 4 different other things. No, it's in his eyes. Football's in his eyes. growing the Lions is in its eyes. It's the desire to probably, I mean, that's that natural father-son competitiveness. It's like you want to show the old man that, you learned something and that you could be better. You could do things a little bit better. That's
or a little different. Yeah. A little different than Dad did. Yeah.
Yes.
What about shows like ours
you have
here?
to be a little bit different.
What about shows like ours here on radio and television in Vancouver? What are they doing? Not much, I guess, eh?
Who's this?
Radio and television.
What is there for
Who's
coverage of the Lions out there?
And what about a show like ours?
There is nothing. There's nothing.
That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's out there and I just don't know about it, it's really nothing.
All right, David.
I mean, we know more about what's going on with UW and the Seattle Seahawks than we do about what's going on here. And we've got football players. We've got guys that live in town that are 100% CFL, love the CFL, but we're not giving them anything.
Oh, I know. Shea Emery and those guys, they've all been on this show. We got to get you guys into the stadium going to Lions games. Shea doesn't even go.
Rod, you mentioned that. And look, the NFL a couple of years ago, they had former players looking over, doing the uniform check before games. They would do that. And that to me is something that we miss. We don't bring it all together.
Your pausing is really screwing me up. Your pause for reflection. Brady in Saskatoon says, David Benefield is amazing. Yes, he is. That's why we have him on here. Mr. Furious, can you please tell me, and by the way, he's a 17-year-old high school kid who just graduated. Congratulations, Brady. What's your wildest CFL on CBC behind-the-scenes story that nobody would believe, that it was going on, and you're just like, I can't believe I'm seeing this right now? What's the best one you got?
We were really, everything was really under control. We never really had anything like streakers running through the set or anything like that. At the most, I think the biggest thing was I really liked the gelling of guys. And that's where I'm like looking at it now going, they did not understand gelling. We watch all the NFL guys, we watch how they talk, how they interact, and that comes from gelling. It doesn't come, you guys just play it, just go out there and talk. No, TV's different. And I think they didn't understand talent versus personality. So you have just different ways to look at things. But when we watch US TV, we see personalities and we see talent. We see it all work together. And that comes from like a team gelling.
Love it. Thank you. And David, the reason I wanted to bring you on, aside from all the football talk, is simply Black Lives Matter. Because you talk about it all the time on Facebook with what I see. How's this hit you in the last 3 weeks?
It's tough. It really is tough because my mom, she moved to California from Arkansas, so in the 50s. So if you talk to anybody, talk to my mom about what it was like growing up in the 30s and 40s in the South. And she gets to California and finds it's just a couple shades different. My dad, he's a West Coaster. He can tell you things. For us to go through all the rioting and all the things like that over the years, I was in L.A. during the Rodney King riots. That was tough. This is the same thing, but it's what brings us to this point, all the various killings, beatings, you talk about white privilege, you talk about so many different things, and it's like we haven't learned anything. We continue to put Band-Aids on major issues, and we start with the whole, it's time for healing, but we really don't fix anything. So this is where we are. And until we actually go in and do the ugly work of sorting it out, really talking about it and fixing it, it's going to pop up 20 years from now. It's going to pop up again. And it's unfortunate. So and so we're all fighting it. I get Facebook messages from people talking about things, and I've got Republican friends that want to talk about it, and I get it, and we all want to get it. We all want it fixed. We're tired of it. I mean, it's like a numbing pain in your head, Rod. Like you want to see things, and then to mention, I have to worry about my son and my daughter. I got to give them, the speech, not just about respecting people of authority or your elders. You got to talk about stuff like that in 2020 we shouldn't really be dealing with. It should be everything else other than how to properly be safe when the police come, it's ridiculous. And my wife is a policeman. So we're not all over the house, but all over the realm of talking about this and trying to work things out and understanding each other. But I see both sides, but I feel both sides also, especially when it comes to Black people, the police, and there's so much more than just Black people, police. There's so much more. That's a whole show in itself.
Sure. Racism itself is so much bigger than Black people and police. But Ryan Clark this morning on ESPN Get Up just broke down crying. You know what's new here? You and I have been friends a long time. I've known you guys have dealt with it, but you've never talked about it, David, really, unless I've asked, You're not outwardly really saying things in conversations. But what's new this time is the fatigue. Like there's an article came out with Ed Hervey in the last 24, 48 hours. You guys are it's draining. And you're kind of saying that here, that you've had it your whole life. And that's something that I never thought about till now.
Remember Coach Daly?
Yeah, sure.
Jim, yeah.
Remember Coach Jim Daly?
Of course.
Coach Jim Daly, we were playing in Calgary one time, and some guy yelled the N-word at myself and another player. And literally, we ran to the fence. We were climbing the fence. It looked like something right out of Slapshot. We're climbing the fence to go get this guy. And all of a sudden, I feel his hand grab my back. And he's like, "What's going on?" I go, "This guy dropped the N-word on us, And he says, "Well, next time tell me so I can go with you so it doesn't look like it's all black versus white." And I was like, and I looked at Coach Daly, and he was just an assistant. I think he was a D-line coach at the time. We were in Ottawa. And I never lost respect for that guy after he said that. I barely knew him. This was my second year there. I barely knew him. But after that, the respect was huge.
Of course. And so I've talked to a lot of players in the last 3 weeks, and I'm literally saying, David, what can I do? What can we do? Because we're not in your shoes. And they've said, just let us know that you're with us. Support us.
Yes. Let us know you're with us. When you're around your friends, whether it's the uncle or aunt that a lot of people say they have, you got to put them in their place. You got to let them know we're not going to stand for that anymore and move on. My mother-in-law, she's Colombian. They moved to Winnipeg way back in the day. And I remember hearing that she couldn't rent an apartment with my father-in-law because they thought she was Mexican. She was brown. She couldn't live there. This is Winnipeg.
Unbelievable.
So, and you got it, talk to guys about Saskatchewan. They'll tell you different stories about like Moose Jaw, what it was like, and the quarters where they couldn't live and how rough it was. And it's tough, man. It's something we just kind of breeze on by because we don't want to go back. But we also got to look at the system that allows it to continue.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the riots. People don't understand. This has been bubbling for so long, right? So it was all coming out. And I think there's a little coronavirus pent-up lockdown frustration in it, too. It was just, rah, right?
Exactly. And Rod, that's something we talk about, the virus, and I hate to go political, but with Trump's big event happening, I can't think of the word for it right now, but with his
the rally, the convention,
the biggest fear is if 20,000 people get together and that thing spikes ridiculously, the trickle down for sports, think of it, We're waiting for the football season to start. Stadiums, 20,000 plus. All of a sudden, if we have this and this shows a negative number, what are we going to look for in September? Will that even postpone September? I mean, this could blow up in so many different ways. I mean, just over the rally.
It already is. It hasn't even started yet. It already is.
They're not going with masks. They're not going with spacing. So this could be a huge turning point for sports going forward.
Absolutely.
Whatever was on the table can totally change after this weekend.
So we're over time on this hour, but David, that's the conversation I wanted to have, and I've been waiting for weeks. So thanks for engaging me. I hope you feel a little better, and let's hope for the best and do it soon.
Well, thank you, Rod, for having me on again, and it was great. I'm sorry that my background is not too great looking or anything like that. The lighting looks horrible, but thanks for having me on, buddy.
You're working. And by the
Exactly.
way, we said we were going to give you a plug for what you're doing now, so let's do it.
Proline Construction Materials. We have 8 locations in BC, 1 in Edmonton, and in Calgary. We cover all your waterproofing, building, enveloping, roofing, you name it, insulation. We're a one-stop shop.
Proline Construction. Love it, man. Stay safe. Keep in touch. Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks, guys. You too.
David Benefield, one of the all-time greats, Mr. Furious.
Terrific. Yes, terrific. Eh?
Love him.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.